Hi. In this episode, we are going to learn about lists. To create a list variable, it is necessary that we first have a table variable in a action form. So, what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and check first if we have a config form, because this is the data that we will be populating into the list. So here we do have a config form. We check if there is a table variable attached to it and whether there is data in here. Once we have confirmed this, then we will go here and we will create a table variable. I already have a table variable here. If you can see that here, I have city table, and here I have count, supplier state, and supplier city. These are the three columns. If you do not have a table variable at this point, please make a table variable. Once you have the table variable and the configuration form, navigate to your transactions tab. Open up the form, click on edit, and now into this main section, drag a list. When you drag in a list, you will notice that it basically looks like two sections, one inside the other, one expansion. You can see when you click on the outer section, that is the list, right? And this inner section, which actually shows up as a section here, is the item in the list. So you'll have multiple of these sections inside a single list. Okay, now inside the section, I'm going to add a few text boxes, well, three to be exact. Okay, so we have three text boxes here, one beside the other. To kind of understand what happens in a list, let's take a quick peek at the preview window. As you can see, it is empty. Every time I click on add, a new section gets added to the list. Hope that makes it easier to understand. Now that we have these three boxes, we start off with the list variables. Then you have AI action form. You have table variable. And then here you have the city table that we had just created. So always remember, to the list variable, we must attach a table variable. Click on the table variable. Make sure that it is a table variable that is attached. Once you are done with that, then to each text box in the list, attach one of the variables from the table. So click here, click on this, and attach city here. This must be, as you can see here, city table dot supplier city string. So city table is what is attached to the list. Go ahead to the next one, attach state to this, go ahead to the next one, attach count to this. Make sure you name them so that it's easy for people to understand what data you want in there. State population. We have these three things. Go ahead, preview and save. Now comes the next part. So now we have created the list. Now the next part is to actually populate it from data that we have put inside the config form. The process is very similar and slightly easier than what you would use for the dropdown. Let's go ahead to the list variable. Let's go to properties, configure list, configure option. Once again, we pick up the config form. Config form. Then you have config form.name equals, and then you have literals. And here you need to put the name of the config form. Let me just double check that. It is city details to CFG. City details to CFG. Go ahead, click on save. Once you click on save, then click on configure list once more. Go to configure options, make sure your expression is saved, and then configure columns. In configure columns, navigate to table variable, select the table variable, select the columns that you would want to have. Go ahead, click on save. You can preview and you can see that there are 3 rows in our config table, the one that we have here. If you can see, there are 3 rows, and once you finish configuring, we have the 3 rows show up here. Now for the final step, map list children, supplier city should get mapped to city, state should get mapped to state, count should get mapped to population. Click outside, preview, and you have all the data from the list coming into from the config form coming into the list. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day.